person. Wait till some viewers get on here. There's no one on yet.
All right, ACCA Live. Mark Mills here from Daiwa. We got Alex here. It's that time of year that we got to introduce all the new products here this week at our kind of virtual ICAST show. But what we decided to do, we were on with CCA, I don't know, probably a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and we had all this cool stuff that we couldn't tell you guys about. So we're going to get this opportunity now to go through the new products. We did a big saltwater introduction this year, so we're going to go through some of the saltwater products, tell you about the new lures, jigs, bags, all that kind of stuff, take your questions, and kind of let you know what's going on for 2020, 2021. I'm going to step out of the frame here. We have a limited area. We're down here in Dana Point. It's a beautiful day, like always. That's 2 in a row. We've had great days, and I'm going to let Alex kind of go through, introduce himself, and kind of start going through some of the tackle.
How's it going, guys? Like Mark said, down here at Dana Point on the Clemente, Dana Wharf Sportfishing, showing you guys some of the new stuff we have coming out. Also talking about kind of what sort of fishing we have going on right now in our backyard. We do have our new lever drag that we just introduced. This is a new Saltiga lever drag by Daiwa for 2020. It's going to come in both a single speed and 2-speed. The single speed, it will come in a 10 through 60 size, and on the 2-speed it comes in a 15 through 60 size. So this is the 50 size here. The 50, 55, and 60 will actually come with this really nice aluminum handle that you see here, which is going to give you a ton of power out of the handle. Also be really nice and comfortable, so you don't get any blisters or anything like that on your hands.
Just so you can see the size difference. So kind of show them, that's the 50, the 55, as you can see the 55's got a bigger handle, and then the 60, as you can see the depth areas there. That one will hold, right now I think it's like almost 700 yards of 80 pounds, somewhere around 660 to be exact.
Definitely. So right now we got, as you guys probably know, a large amount of tuna off our coast. We have both yellowfin and bluefin right now. The yellowfin are anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds for the most part. The bluefin are 20 pounds all the way up to, I think the biggest I've seen this year is about 340 pounds on one of the
somewhere in there. You got a pretty good one yourself.
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. There's been a
little
lot.
boat, big fish, right?
Yeah, there's been a lot caught over the 200-pound mark on both private boats and sport boats this year. So the setup we're using for that is going to be this big guy here, the Saltiga 60 with a nice handle. We're either fishing 80 or 100 pound on here. You can use this with the SK jig. You can fly the kite with this, so you can fly the frozen flyer or also the rubber flyer with this setup. As far as a rod to match it up with, we're using a Procyon rod. This is actually a 7.4 XXX that we're introducing, coming to the dealers near you soon. But currently we offer a 7-foot 2X that's perfect for flying the kite, fishing those heavy SK jigs. We got a 220-pound bluefin earlier on that exact setup. And then for line, like I said, 80 or 100 pound, we're fishing the J-Braid Grand. This is the gray light color. It's a gray color, obviously you can see that. Good for both low light conditions, but also kind of stands out on the reel as well.
What makes it special? I mean, we redesigned this year the whole Saltiga lineup when it comes into lever drags. We've been doing it for a while, so it's got to get in the picture a little bit more. We're limited. We're trying to social distance and everything else too, so we're doing what we can. But we've done a lot of stuff. This is a completely redesigned, re-engineered lever drag for Daiwa. We've been working on it for 4 years. We've had 2 years of testing on it. Right now, we've tested against a lot of other reels out there. There's a ton of 2-speeds. A lot of guys making good products. Right now, fortunately, from what we have seen in our things, that this reel is testing better as far as durability, more power, more torque, comfortable, lighter weight. Tell them kind of what, the gearing and stuff. What's the gearing made out of?
Yeah, definitely. So this reel has all CRBBs in it. It has 6 corrosion-resistant ball bearings, so that means those ball bearings are going to last a lot longer than your traditional ball bearings. Also has stainless steel main gear and pinion gear, so it's a very thick, durable, strong gear in this reel. With a lot of stainless steel gears, you get a lot of roughness. With this reel, it's going to remain super smooth and super free.
You're not getting that wah, 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 wah by any means.
Exactly. It's not going to be loud and grindy. It's going to be super smooth, super strong.
Almost like a Star Trek.
Yep, and then like Mark said, it's also going to be super lightweight. So you can fish it on the rail. You can hold this all day on the rail whether you're fishing the kite. Really nice. You can fish this in hand, dropping that bait in and out of gear, and you're not going to get tired using the setup.
Still has 45 pounds of drags on the bigger sizes. I'll show you some of the smaller sizes in a minute. Some of the other things too is we added a much larger spool bearing or throw bearing in it. What that does is that as you increase the lever drags, you tend to get a lot of resistance on turning the handle. And that's fine, but you're going to feel that when you're fishing, so you start to think about, I've got to feel this handle rather than thinking about the fish. With this bigger throw bearing, you can turn the handle and there's very little resistance on that, which makes a big thing on there. Also, that one here has the lugs in it. It does have second set of lugs, so you have lugs, and you can also take those out and have no lugs. So don't worry about those. They have interchangeable lugs that comes in the box.
Cool. So that's kind of the big setup for flying the kite or fishing those heavy, 300-gram SK jigs that we have. On the smaller sizes, this is the 50 size. Like I said before, it will come with the aluminum handle on it. This is the rubber handle that comes on some of our smaller sizes. Below the 50, 55, and 50 mark, we'll kind of show those.
Yeah. So we use the rubber T-handles mainly for comfort and speed on the smaller sizes. On the larger sizes, you need that power and torque. You don't need that speed. So we're using a rubber soft touch handle. This is actually the smallest one we make. This is not a 2-speed, this is single speed. So we make a single speed and 2. This is the 10, and this is a single speed full wheel reel. This here is a 20. So we make this reel here, this 20, in both a single speed and a 2-speed. And then we make them all the way up on the 2-speed side. We also make it, you may see in the lineup, we make some sailfish reels. They're not really designed for fishing out here. They have really light drag pressures. They're designed for tournament sail fishing. We have a 50 and a 60 size. You're going to see a lot of pickup like 6-to-1, 7-to-1 inch in gear ratios with like 56 to 54 inches per crank, but that's more of an East Coast feel. It's not here used on the West Coast, so it's not going to be good for wahoo or anything of that nature. It doesn't have the drag pressure. It's designed for a whole different fishery. But those are the different sizes. This here's kind of got another really cool size.
Yep. So this is a 35 size here. This is the narrow. So for jigging, anything like that, we actually do make this size with the aluminum handle as well, just for the jigging application. But the guys that want a little bit more narrow reel, a little bit easier to control, fits in your hand a little bit better. Very nice size in the 35 narrow. As far as price goes, these are going to range. The 2-speeds are $4.99 to $6.99, so very competitively priced. One thing that we're doing on our Saltiga reels now, both our star drags, lever drags, and spinning reels, is we're offering a 5-year warranty. You want to talk a little bit more about that warranty?
Yeah, I'm gonna step over and get something too over there.
Sure.
So, Daiwa has realized it's the Saltiga lineup. We've done it in another series, but spinning reels, and we have some here as well, star drags and lever drags, they're kind of our flagship. So it's kind of our Rolls-Royce direction in the industry, or Bugatti cars, whatever you want to talk about it. So we are doing our Saltiga warranty/service system. And what it is that you can send it back into Daiwa as much as you want when you buy a Saltiga product. It'll get cleaned and serviced for free as long as it's under a controlled amount of workmanship, as far as it can't be complete junk and beat up. You know, there is a fine line with wear and tear. So what you'll do is you send it into us. We'll fix it in 24 hours and we'll ship it back to you if you're a long ways away, either priority mail or overnight shipping. But it always comes back in a cool Saltiga bag here, so it's going to come in a bag all wrapped up, keeps it protected, and shows you that we've put the utmost of care into the product when we service it or any type of warranty. So that's a great feature for us as far as that. And we stand behind our product, and obviously we're going to stand behind you when you purchase our product.
Alrighty, so another setup we're going to show you guys. If you guys are out on a private boat or a sport boat early in the morning, get out to the grounds, kind of in the gray light or while it's still dark. A lot of people are dropping down our SK jigs, anywhere from 140 to 300 gram. This is a new jig that we introduced. It hasn't hit the market yet. We'll be shipping sometime later this season, but this is our Mr. Slow jig. This is also a falling type bait. 2 hooks on it, comes in some unique sizes and colors here. This has a very unique action as it falls through the water. Very cool fluttering action. You can see upgraded hooks and split rings on this. As far as the hooks go, we use these large heavy duty hooks. And then as far as the material, We're using actually a monofilament with a Kevlar sleeve on the hook, so it's going to be much more durable than any sort of braided assist hook on the market.
And it's rigid, so as you can see, it's not going to tangle up. See how rigid it is? That keeps them from tangling and twisting on that. Also, you can see how flat, how much surface area, so that can determine on how it's going to fall. You kind of touched on that a little bit too. When you go into a double hook rig like this, so you have one on the top, one on the bottom, there's a reason for this. These hooks tend to work as a parachute. So jigs that are set on the bottom are going to fish different than the top, but this actually is a parachute, so you have both pulls, so it's going to pull this lure and flutter much differently. So you can change the way a lure fishes and falls by adding hooks, subtracting hooks, or adding them in certain parts on the lure itself.
So the setup we're using for that, this is a 220 gram Mr. Slow jig, kind of like I recommended. 140 to 300 grams, kind of the sweet spot depending on how deep those fish are. And then as far as the reel, this is a Saltiga 50. This has 80-pound J-braid Grand on it. And then this is one of our current Proteus rods. This is an 8-foot extra heavy. So for those bigger bluefin, you're going to have a little bit of a longer rod. Allows you to absorb a little bit of those head shakes. It allows you to cast this lure out, let it sink out away from the boat if you'd like. And then if you do hook a 50, 60-pound bluefin, you're going to have the pulling power with that extra heavy rated rod.
One other thing too is that was one of our samples, so that's one of our test sample reels. So the 52 speed like this does come with the big T handle instead of the rubber handle. This is one of the samples, and as we were testing and that size of reel, not just for here but in other coasts fishing big grouper and stuff, we thought that reel would be more preferably light with the big T handle like you see on the 55 and 60. So don't get weirded out. That's just a handle that we were testing out on it. So want to make sure I made that clear in case everybody wondered when they went in the store they couldn't find that exact reel. So
cool. So if you guys have any questions about the new Saltiga lever drags, please ask away. We're going to jump into the next product.
Any questions there, Chip?
Got one to explain the drag pressure.
Okay, that's a good thing. So we have a carbon fiber washer that we're using in our reels. It's the ATD Advanced Tournament Drag System, and this carbon washer that we use can really handle a lot of heat and a lot of pressure and stay at a very consistent level. And you're seeing that on a lot of our saltwater reels where you're getting a lot of high drag pressure and a lot of fish taking off 200, 300 yards of line at 45 pounds of drag. It gets really hot. So the ATD drag that we have, and it's virtually the same size as the spool, so it's about that big around, gets a ton of pressure. Some of the smaller sizes you'll probably see, I'm guessing like 20 or something, probably 25 pounds of drag, I don't know offhand. I know this one here gets, like, you want to steal that from him? Gets at 45 pounds of drag max. And that's with full free spool. So it gets plenty of drag out here for what you're doing. Any of the core anglers know that you can't hold much more than 18 to 20 pounds of drag, even on the rail. That's a lot. So you got plenty of room to go, and you're going to have a real good free spool on that. What's that?
Max drag on the 60.
Max drag 45. 45 with full free spool. So it's got a nice good click. As you can see, it's very loud on that. And it's got a detent button here. You just push in, throw it forward there. And as you can see, it's got nice smoothness there. 2-speed. It's quiet. It's not making a lot of noise. So the 60 and the 55 have the exact same drag pressures on that. So also on this handle that he was talking about, it feels really good. From what I can see, it's better than any aftermarket handle that I've seen in the industry. Being that it's metal, it doesn't wear up your hands. You got that 220 pounder. Doesn't wear your hand out here. And it also, when your fingers are in this position here for a long time, it's not going to eat up your fingers in this scenario. A lot of reels that have rubber or plastic will tend to wear on your hands. And after an hour or so, you're not going to even want to hold the reel. This doesn't do that. You're going to like this a lot when you catch big fish on it.
Yeah, we actually caught a 220 on my little 19-foot center console about a month and a half ago now out of San Diego, and we were using that 60 size on that 7-foot extra heavy Proteus rod. It took us about 45 minutes to reel in. Plenty of line capacity on that 60 size. We were fishing 100-pound J-braid Grand. About 45 minutes, like I said, to reel that thing in, and came up pretty much dead and kicked its butt with that Saltiga lever.
Yeah. So. And the one thing too is that, guys, there's so much stuff we want to talk about. Take a look here too. As you can see this area? That is the whole. Sorry, it's a little better over here. The whole the whole gear system. So if you look, that's an enormous drag, actual size of it. And at the same gear ratios of all the other reels, this will get more power, more torque because it has bigger gears, gives you more leverage. So it's easier to turn the handle, still getting, you know, 2.3 to 1 or 3.4 to 1. It gives you more power, more torque. So you're still picking up the same, but it's easier to turn the handle. So you're gonna like that. That's a big factor on how big those gears are. And being stainless steel, there's no biting, there's no twisting. It's just gonna be perform really, really good for you.
Yep, it's gonna hold up well over time. The stainless steel gear are gonna stay strong and stay durable and fine over time, which is good.
So you wanna talk poppers?
Yeah, let's talk about the new
that's happening
MGQ.
too.
Yeah, those fish are starting to show up on the surface more and more, especially those smaller grade, those 20 to 60 pounders. Guys are starting to see what we call foamers here on the West Coast, bluefin and yellowfin. So we have a nice setup here, the BG MQ. This is our 10,000 size, kind of a good all-around size. We offer this now in a 2,500 size all the way up to a 20,000.
Yeah, so a 2,500, just so you know, is about, I guess this is 25 described, about that size, all the way up to a 20,000 that is considerably bigger than this.
Yeah. For our West Coast, the 10,000 and 14,000 is kind of the bread and butter.
Especially on a private boat where you can move around. If you need to follow a big fish, you can. You know, a big sport boat's not the same, but 10,000 gets it done. What do you have, what, 50 pound on this?
50 or 65.
Yeah, either one.
Yep.
It'll hold plenty of line on that. What makes it special is that the BG MQ has our MQ technology. I'm trying to stay within the frame here without getting too close. Has our MQ technology, and it's under, we call it monocoque. So what makes it really special is if you look at it right here, see that area? That's the whole system right here. That's the whole gear. That's its main gear. And you're gonna also see that there's no areas for you to like screw in the side plate. So it's an all one piece side plate. Why does that special? What makes that special? So what that does is, number one, it allows less water to travel into the gearbox because you have 300 degrees of stability to keep that kind of washer that's in there in one position. But what also does, it allows us to use a bigger gear. We don't have to put extra little marks in this for screw holes. But what also it does is, besides the bigger gear, it allows for less flex. And that flex is what really kind of limits your turning of the handle, because as it bends and flexes, the gears tend to dig into each other. So one, it actually makes it harder to turn. Number two, it wears the gears down. As the gears are doing this and moving back and forth, it'll wear the gears out, the noise, it'll get loud, it'll get obnoxious, and then your reel starts to go to crap. But in actuality, this really reduces that, and you've seen it in the Saltiga reel that we introduced in January, our Exist reel, and our Surtate. So this is kind of a feature that we've added to Daiwa. We've brought it into this reel at $199 to $279. So it's in a good price point range, and it makes a huge difference. Now we use the BG name, which is big game. You know, we do BG reels at $209 starting at, but this is a much different feature than our regular BG. But we just wanted to go off of that. Other than that, you know, it also has a complete kind of a sealed system in it. I actually have one here. Well, I'll let you get that. You can try to show them how to pop it.
Yeah.
So let me go through this real quick too. So this will give you kind of an understanding up tight here, if I can get it my good. So you've got 9 rubber washers in this. So you've got a rubber washer right here, and that's going to protect any water or contaminants getting into the drag system, right? So you can see that real close right there. And then it's got 4 washers right here. And what that does is that keeps any water that travels down the main shaft to get into the one-way roller bearing, which if that goes, then your reel's not going to perform properly and it's going to feel weird. So there's 4 water areas to protect that. And if that water gets from that one-way roller bearing, it'll travel into the gear set itself. So if it goes into here, then you've got a whole other issue. So there's 4 areas to stop water from getting in there. Also, you're going to see right here, there's 2 washers, the one that I was telling you here, and then there's another washer there. That also seals this gearbox up quite a bit. And then you're going to see when this tightens down, there's a washer here. That'll keep any water from going into the bearing here. And there's also one on this side. You just can't see it with the caps off. So you've got a total of 9 washers. I'm not saying it's 100% sealed where you can actually turn it underwater, because that's a whole different sealing system. That turns into pressure and everything else. But as far as spray on the boat, hosing it down or anything, it's going to really, really reduce how much water or any water getting into the important areas. So it's a huge feature for us. This is a great reel. We've been testing it out here. Matter of fact, we had a fun trip with Bart Hall. and we all went out and all the dealers got a chance to fish it and stuff last year before it even came out, and it's been really, really good. It's going to be a hot seller for us.
Yeah, the standard BG is still in line. In that $100 price point, known as a very durable reel. Probably one of our #1 selling spinning reels in the market, and for us as well. And that BG MQ, with that monocoque technology and the 9 rubber seals, just making it that much better.
Yeah, and by the way too, that is an all aluminum reel, and it's not painted. Most of the reels in that price point range are painted aluminum. We actually anodize it, so it won't tarnish, it won't corrode, or a lot more resistant towards that. It's also braid ready spool, so you'll see kind of a rubber band around the spool. So if you're putting braid on it, which nowadays spinning reels you almost have to, makes it so much better. You don't have to worry about that spinning around or putting any type of piece of paper or anything on it like that.
Definitely.
Now you got that matched up with what rod? That's the new.
Yeah, so this is on our new Proteus wind rod. If you saw earlier on that Mr. Slow setup we had the Proteus wind rod. This is the new Proteus wind rod for this year. This is the kind of black and gray camo that we're going with this year. If you guys are familiar with our Alexa wind reel that we introduced earlier this year at the Fred Hall show, this wind grip matches that handle. So if you want a setup that matches your Alexa wind that you currently bought this year, this new Proteus wind rod is the rod that you're looking for. So we make these in a 7-foot all the way up to an 810 jig stick. These do have a lifetime warranty on them against manufacturer's defects, so we get very few back to Daiwa. We're able to offer you guys that lifetime warranty. Similar to that lever drag with a 5-year warranty, we stand behind our product. So this happens to be a 7.6 heavy. We have it rigged up. This is our Dorado popper. It's kind of a smaller finesse popper, works really good for those smaller yellowfin and bluefin when they're on that smaller bait.
My favorite popper, hands down. It stays in the water good, it casts good, it's freaking awesome.
I'm not sure if you want to try and make a cast here. So, make a cast here just so you guys can see. So, pretty effortlessly. This popper grabs water really well, kind of in a boat weight here, but very good for calm water. This comes in one size of 14 in both a floating and a sinking. But for those yellowfin out there and the bluefin, those 20 to 60 pounders that are up on the surface chasing bait, it's a really good lure.
Yeah, good hooks on it, good split ring. That's not a new bait, that's been out for a while, but might as well play with it while we're out here.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about, on the new Proteus Wind, we didn't get rid of the blue one. We still have that in our lineup, so the blue one for some people was a little too bright, and somebody wanted to tone it back, so we toned it back a little. So we have both ones in the lineup. They both have the limited lifetime warranty on them. Now, we also went to this, let's talk a little about the technology. So,
sure.
What makes it good? So you want to go through that, Alex?
Yeah, so we have our braiding X technology in here and our X45 technology. What that does, it eliminates any sort of blank twist. So that does two things. When you're casting a lure, you're not going to get any blank twists, so you're going to get a more accurate cast. But also when you're pulling on fish, it eliminates any twist in the rod. So you're not going to get any twist of the rod when you're pulling on a big tuna, yellowtail, anything that you might find out here.
Right. It also allows us to use a much smaller blank than a lot of the competition. The other thing too is that we also use what we call our high volume fiber. So with a high volume fiber there's a lot of, graphite itself is very, very light. It's the resin that weighs a rod down. So a lot of companies use more resin in their graphite, and what that does is that extra resin, they use that extra in case there's any bubbles. The high volume fiber, we get very little air bubbles in the resin itself, allows us for a more consistent rod, thinner blank, and like he said, that the X45 allows it not to ovalize out, so when a rod bends, it bends like a straw. It can't oval out, so it stays in position longer. So really good technology. Just so you guys know too, we are our own rod manufacturer. Let's go outside of the thing here. Sorry, guys, catching half of me on most of the day. But we actually design and build our own fishing rods. There's very few companies, especially big companies, that do. They take them, they put their name on them, and they call them theirs. But Daiwa builds about 90 to 95% of their own fishing rods from their own factory. Some of the lower end stuff we don't, but any of the middle range to upper end we build ourselves, we design ourselves. So there's a lot of pride and workmanship in there, and like I said, and a lot of new technology. And it's got the K guides on it, so you don't have to worry about the Fuji Faz Light K guide, so the line doesn't wrap on it. Just a great rod, great setup. and perfect for out here, you know, throwing poppers, yellowfin, bluefin, you know, the yellows and stuff. It's amazing how those poppers have turned on the last year, and spinning tackle.
Yeah, and if you're really looking for one spinning setup, if you're looking to get a spinning setup or want to add a spinning setup to your arsenal, definitely the BGMQ, a 10 or 14,000, and then either a 7.6 heavy or an 8-foot heavy spinning rod. You can pretty much do everything on our coast with that kind of setup.
Yeah, 100%. Chip, are there any questions? I know we were kind of going through a bunch of stuff. Okay, everybody seems, I think we're answering a lot for a lot of people.
If you guys do have questions, please ask away. Anything fishing related on what's going on out there. I know one of the boats was out paddy hopping today out of here and caught some yellows on kelp, so they're starting to show up on kelps, which is good.
Yep. Swordfish are starting to bite it a little bit. I heard that yesterday.
Yep.
So a guy called me, said that they're starting to bite a little bit. So we'll see how that season goes on. It'll probably obviously get better as we go into the season, into the fall. Since we're talking swordfish a little bit, I brought up the subject. If there's any questions, we can kind of talk a little bit about that. I think we did on our last setup, but you know, what we did is that, you know, the swordfish fishing is really popular here, you know, on the West Coast. Last year it came on strong. The eastern seaboard, the Gulf areas, they do a lot of it. You know, it's an expensive reel for the most part. You're investing a lot of money. You're looking at $1,600 investment to pretty much catch swordfish on that. So what we've ended up doing is I do all the accessories, and we made this kind of electric reel cover. We do it 2 sizes for the 500, 800, and 1,000 and the 1,200. What's cool about it is that when it's all set up, it goes right on the rod together, wraps around there. It allows the cord to go through it as well, so you can cover your investment. The cord's on, you don't have to take it off your reel, and off your rod, the reel. The line can go through there, so you can keep your setup all together, but very cool thing. They run about $19.99 for either one of them. Like I said, you've got your hook and loop, real soft neoprene, and then your clear isinglass, so you can see your investment. And dude, if you're gonna spend $1,600, buy a cover for it. Seriously, you can throw it around; it doesn't get scratched. But very good investment on that.
Yep. And as far as the swordfish setup, what we're using is a Seaborg 1200 on the marine power rod, 80-pound J-braid grand, and then a leader and a nice squid on the end there. So definitely a market that's taken off on the West Coast here, big in Florida, like Mark said. But a lot of guys are itching to get out there and get a swordfish. Deep drop during the daytime is the way to do it.
I think there's still a lot to learn about that. I think there's a lot of different baits and stuff that you can do to do that. I've got a couple of thought process on my end. I just haven't done it. I want it to get a little good so I don't get discouraged. I got some other cool baits to use, but you got to go with pretty much a Seaborg. A Tanacom, I'm not saying that you can't get one, but there's a good chance of the Tanacom's designed for mainly kite fishing and pulling baits in and deep dropping for grouper and stuff. It's not a swordfish reel, so either the Seaborg 1200, or if you want to invest in something bigger, the Marine Power, which is a considerably more investment reel. That's $4,000 is a completely different deal, but the Seaborg, $1,600 gets the job done for you. Yep.
Cool. Let's keep going. We can move into some other products we have. Let's talk about the new Tatula 300.
Yeah.
First 300 size bait casting reel with a T-wing on it. If you guys aren't familiar with the Twing technology, you can see Mark's going to demonstrate here. It's basically the level wind right there is in the shape of a T, so it allows for more line to flow off the reel when you're casting, but then when you're retrieving the reel, it goes back up into the narrow bottom of the T, so that your line goes on the reel nice and smooth and evenly.
And like I said, this is something, you know, when we get into the 300s, you know, we sell the Lexus and stuff like this, and for the most part, we're kind of like, we're going to focus this reel this year on the bass side for throwing swim baits. And I'm talking freshwater. I'm not saying you can't use it for saltwater. It does have CRBBs. You're going to see most of the marketing towards the freshwater angler in this reel. Not saying that there's not something coming down the road, because there will be. But what makes this reel special is that there's plenty of 300 size reels in the market. Everybody's making them. All the good manufacturers are making them. But nobody's doing anything to make you cast further and less backlashes. And this T-wing will allow you to cast further and give you less backlashes. Really cool scenario for this. You will literally see the difference between this and if you cast Alexa on that. Yep. And like I said, it opens up. It allows the line not to go and get stuck at those hard degrees. So this is a much bigger line guide. And as your line's going out, when you make your cast, the benefit of this is when your line goes out and makes its cast, if there's a steep angle, what happens is that the actual bait starts to slow down. The line will slow down. Your spool doesn't when there's that steep angle. This allows not that. So that line, when it actually slows down, your spool doesn't know that. So your spool starts to lift up and give you that backlash. Or you have to put more thumb on it. slowing that down. This really almost eliminates that. It allows it to cast further. I think everybody knows that if you don't have a level line, it's probably going to cast the furthest. This is to have a level line and still reduce, you know, the drag of your line. Super great bait for that. I didn't even set this thing up.
Alrighty. So next we're going to talk about a little bit higher end stick bait setup. This is our new Saltiga spinning reel. This is also a 10,000 size. This is the Dorado slider. So I showed you guys the Dorado popper earlier. This is a good topwater stick bait. So we had the popper earlier, and then this is kind of the topwater stick bait. And this is our Saltiga 10,000 right here. This has, I think, 50 or 60 pound J braid on it as well. And then as far as the rod, this is matched up with a Procyon rod. This is a 7'4" extra heavy. Similar to that BG MQ, it has the MQ Technology here. So you're going to get that larger gear in there. It has our air bail technology, which is a solid bail, so it's going to be durable but also thick, easy to maneuver. This is if you're going to want to go after those bigger bluefin, those 200 to 300 pounder that are up eating the sardines and chovies on the surface. This is going to be the setup that you want to use for that. It's going to have a lot more power, a lot more durable, a lot stronger, a lot more drag than that BGM.
Yeah, and we're using a different, a gear material in that as well. So we're using in that reel a brass pinion gear and a cold forged aluminum main gear. And what that does is it's a much harder material than most gears on the market. And that being that it's digi-cut, so it's digitally cut and polished, is really smooth, it's really strong, it's really durable, and it's just an all-around really, really a lot of power, a lot of torque, especially when you get into this category of reel. Now this is another Saltiga, so it'll also fall into the Saltiga executive service warranty on it as well. So you send it in, any Saltiga product, same thing as like the lever drags or the star drags now. You'll get it clean and serviced within 24 hours back to you with priority shipping and in a cool little bag. So that's it. So very, very cool. This thing also has a special heat sink inside the drag knob itself. So as your spool gets hot, this is a much thicker aluminum here, so it pulls the heat out of the drag system, and heat is what slows the drag system down or actually loosens it up. So you want to keep a good temperature. This is a big factor. So this is kind of the thermal drag system that it has, really helps you out on that. Cool aluminum handle, same like very similar like we did on the Salted lever drags. Aluminum, doesn't affect your hands, feels good on it. It's just a really great system.
Cool. Alrighty, and then I think the last kind of setup we have here is our new Procyon AL. If you guys are looking for a reel to fish both freshwater and saltwater, we've introduced the new Procyon AL. This does come in a 1,000 up to a 4,000 size. It's going to be a very lightweight aluminum reel, so you can fish this in both freshwater or saltwater. Our lightest aluminum reel that we offer right now has our air bail technology, so a very thick, hollow bail, lightweight but strong. You can see cosmetics on this are very nice, stands out, good looking, very blingy. We have this on our back bay rod. This is a 7/6 medium back bay rod. You could also fish this on any of our inshore rods. Great setup for calico bass, inshore fishing in the bays, halibut, spotties, anything like that. This is a great setup for Southern California.
Yeah, and Alex kind of hit on it too, is that they don't come real big, so it's more mainly inshore when it comes to that. But being that it's aluminum, now granted the BG, the BGMQ, and the back bay and the Saltus are aluminum, but this is a lightweight aluminum. It's about 1 ounce lighter than the BG, and about almost like 3/4 of an ounce lighter than the back bay that we have. So it's very lightweight. It's kind of our crossover. You see a lot of marketing for that in the freshwater and the saltwater market, but all around great setup, and like I said, it looks good, and it's once again it's got digi-cut gears in as well, so it's super smooth. It's going to stay smooth, and that's the new Procyon AL.
Yeah, we got a 20-pound J-braid grand on here. The gray light as well looks really nice.
Perfect for SD minnows too.
Yeah, we got sulfur minnow. This is actually one of our TD minnows on here. Good little jerk bait. You can use this for both freshwater and saltwater for calicos, green bass.
Surf fishing
for halibut, anything like that. Great little bait.
Yeah. Should have any other questions coming out?
Yeah, you'll pull the T-wing system out on the Tatula 300 and show that up close.
Okay.
And talk about that one more time.
So I know it's tough to explain, so I'm going to kind of try to go a little slower. I talk fast, everybody knows that. So if you look at the T-wing system here, when it's in free spool, every reel in the industry other than Daiwa has a round level wind. And the round small level wind, when your line is over here and the level wind's over there, it's got to come at almost a 45-degree angle. That angle is resistance, and it will cause the spool to slow down. It'll add friction to the line, and it really makes it very difficult to cast. And you tend to get backlashes because when that line's going back and forth, once it gets to that steep angle, and it just happens, your line slows down, but your actual spool does not, and that's where it'll tend to backlash. So on this reel here, this will keep it from doing that. You've got a lot of area for it to move back and forth. But the also thing is when you put it into gear, it also allows the line to get much tighter and evenly on the spool, almost like a spring. And that keeps the line from going back and forth oddly. So it keeps a nice, even, consistent flow. So this is the first 300 on the market to have that technology. It also has our MagForce braking system. So 20 is going to have the most amount of resistance. You won't backlash, and then you can move it all the way to 0. But really great reel for that. Like I said, we're going to focus on this reel. For most marketing you're going to see is going to be directed towards swim baits, A-rigs, 10XDs into the freshwater market, but don't worry, something will come into the saltwater. But could you use this for saltwater? 100%, it's going to work fine for you.
Talk about that new Tatula rod there too.
Yeah, too. This kind of anybody that's into bass fishing. We'll talk a little bit of freshwater here. And like I said, you can use it for saltwater. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's been directed for bass fishing. So this is our Tatula Swimbait Rod. 2 new ones this year. They match up perfectly with the 300. This one here is a 7.3. We also do a 7.9. The 7.3, obviously, as you can see, has its kind of standard Daiwa reel seat to it, split grip design. The 7.9, we use a bigger handle in the back. It's a little thicker. It's got a little bit bigger reel seat. That 7.9 is really kind of designed for throwing even bigger baits, 8-inch, 9-inch, bigger A-rigs on that size. But it's real lightweight, good set of guides on it. You got your Fazlight guides on it. You got the cool Tatula spider. It matches up with the Tatula T-Wing 300, and it's got kind of a cool branded logo here with the Tatula spider on it. But that's, freshwater stuff, you guys. On this too, we have our X45 technology, and we also have our high volume fiber and our Nano Plus technology. And that's kind of a nanotechnology resin that when it's actually heated up, all the gas bubbles are released, giving us mainly carbon fiber, very little resin. That really keeps the weight of the rod down. And a rod will pretty much kind of fail in a gas bubble. So if you have a gas bubble in your rod, that gas bubble is an area for it, just like an egg, for it to fold and crack. So this high volume fiber with the Nano Plus doesn't allow any gas bubbles, so it'll last a lot longer. Very light.
Wayne asked, has the Tatula series been upgraded for saltwater environment, or has it always been saltwater capable?
What's that? Oh, good question. So its direction, it's saltwater capable. It's not really been designed for the saltwater environment. We're using CRBB bearings, but our whole Tatula line is a bass line setup. I mean, it is focused in the bass market. You're going to see Ish Monroe, Brett Ayler, and all of our freshwater pros, Cody Myers, Randy Howell, they're all fishing Tatula. That is its marketing direction. That is our focus. Can it work in saltwater? Yes. With the CRBB bearings, it works great. Will we have one somewhere down the road focused on saltwater? I mean, I'm letting the cat kind of run around the boat right now. The cat's kind of getting out of the bag. But yeah, trust me, we have a plan, and it's coming down the road. But in all actuality, if the guys need a cool setup to fish and want to try it, this will work great for you.
It's the price point for the reel and the rod.
So the $269 for the reel, and the rod's going to come in right at about $199. I think $199 I think $199 even on the Swimbait rods, right in that range. So great setup. It's very lightweight. As you can see, I'm barely holding on to this thing, but really good. You're going to see how big the paddle knobs are on it. Really soft touch, big paddle knobs. This reel is designed for pulling big baits. Like I said, A-rigs, it'll throw a big swim bait, all that kind of stuff. Big 10XD, striking, crankbaits if you're a freshwater guy. So freshwater is its direction. Yeah, it's going to work in saltwater.
Cool. We have one one question about the Saltiga warranty, the 5-year warranty. So that's not only against manufacturer's defects, but that's also free clean and service for 5 years on any Saltiga reels, the spinning, the star drag, and the lever drags. And that's going to be prorated, I believe, Mark, right? If they bought a reel 2 years ago, they have 3 years of their service warranty left.
And I will be, and you can hear it here, we are going to be very strict on showing proof of purchase. So receipt, somehow proof of purchase on that. Even if it's prorated, proof of purchase. I mean, we're an easy company, but we just got to make sure that it's being taken care of. And if the reel's so beat up that we can't do anything with it, then we probably wouldn't warranty it. But as long as it's an easy, clean, and service, you know, keep your stuff up, it'll be fine. We'll take care of it for you.
Yep. So free 5-year clean and service on any Saltiga reels.
Yeah, nobody's doing that. That's the thing. And it comes back in a cool bag, so there's a lot of pride to it. So it's going to be great.
Definitely. So check out the new Saltigas. Those will be shipping in August. The larger sizes, the 55 and 60, will be shipping in August to the dealers. You guys can pre-order them now.
Yeah.
With that, we want to talk about a lure that we've introduced. We've been kind of waiting for this lure for some time. It's kind of been a void in our lure assortment, so we're introducing a new casting lure. This is called the Zakana Jig. We've been able to fish this off our coast earlier this year. Lots of bluefin, yellowtail, barracuda, bass. We make these in a 20 gram all the way up to 130 gram. I believe this is the 130 gram here, so this is the largest that we offer. First thing you're going to notice is the upgraded hooks and split rings. So on the larger sizes, 80 to 100 gram, and this is the 130, you're going to come with these real heavy duty hooks and split rings, so you don't have to change them out of the package. A lot of the other lures, you have to change the hooks and split rings. The other thing that's big about this lure, as you guys know, there's a million of these on the market. This has a horizontal line tie. So most line ties are going to be going vertical. This one is horizontal. What that does, it allows the lure to swim and kick, almost like a surface iron through the water. And you can actually burn this through the water or wind it really fast, and it's not going to roll or twist or do any of that. So we were out there earlier in this year, the same day we got that big bluefin. We found some yellowfin, 20 to 40 pound yellowfin. We were casting this. Fish would sink out. We'd burn this as quick as we could on the surface, and the fish were eating it 20 feet from the boat. So really good swimming lure, comes with really good hooks and split rings. These are shipping now to your guys' dealers.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 8 colors too. We don't have all the colors here.
Yep.
Sizes from we go down to 20 gram, all the way up to that's like the 130. Is that?
That's the 130. Yep.
Yeah, that's the biggest one we make. So we have a whole range of sizes in that. But like Alex is saying, that actual horizontal line tie makes all the difference in the world. I mean, there's a million companies making those. They all look the same. This one swims different. So there's definitely a different direction on that. I think we've proven on how good our lures, Salt Pro minnows and everything else that we've done, our SK jigs, we make a good lure. This is, from what I can see as far as a casting lure, is one of the best casting lures in the market. I was kind of surprised because I thought it was going to swim like everything else, just spin around and do whatever it does. No, it actually stays on track, and it's all pretty much based on the weighting system and that line tie itself.
Yep, we have this silver color. We also have a sardine color, an anchovy color. We have a couple glow-in-the-dark colors, zebra glow, and a green gold glow. So we got some really unique colors out there. We also have an all chrome, which is really popular, especially with the amount of anchovy that's in the water right now.
Got a question in which will tie in perfect here. What's your recommendation for solid jig stick for casting irons, yellowtail, bluefin, yellowfin?
Cool. You want to go first? Sure. I'm going to probably throw it different on you, so you got to go first.
Yeah, there's a couple different options. I know which way Mark's going to go, so I'll recommend a Saltis or Saltiga Star Drag, 35 or 40. As far as line, you can either put 65 pound J-braid on there, or you can fish 40 pound mono, whatever you prefer. And then as far as a rod, we make our Proteus and our Proteus Win rod in an 810 jig stick. We make the Win, the blue one, in a medium heavy and a heavy.
Yeah, I like that medium heavy. I like the little lighter one. I'm not as big as you, obviously. I like the little lighter
heavy is nice. I like to throw the Salis 7X for my surface iron, so I fish a little bit heavier jig. So I throw the 810 heavy Proteus rod with Saltis or Saltiga 40H. That's my go-to.
I'll use a 6.2-to-1 Lexa 400. I like that. I'll use that medium heavy, and you know, I still like throwing the popper on spinning tackle, but once in a while I'll put it on my casting rod. And that 810 medium heavy Proteus Win, cast that popper, that Saltiga, like it's going out of style. Like the last time I was out, I was on the boat, the skipper came down, and I'm not the best caster in the world, came down and said, man, that is the most stupid cast I've ever seen. I mean, you can literally almost dump the line off it on 50 pounds. I mean, literally put it all the way to that buoy over there. So it's getting it far away from the boat, getting away from everybody else, but that's just what I like to do. So, but everybody has their own preference there.
Follow-up question again from Carrie. Do you recommend the same length jig stick for a woman as you do for a man?
That's a good question. Depends on what the woman is. You know what? It's one of those things that you may want to go like a 7.6. That 8.10 is a hard rod. It's a lot of rod, you know. It's a thicker blank. It's a thing. So maybe like a 8-foot or 7.6 medium heavy would be depending on how good. Also, you also think too is what lure they're throwing. You know, are they throwing a a heavier surface iron, a lighter surface iron? Like I throw a lot of Caddy C's. I really like that lure. It tends to be thinner, smaller. That's why I like the MH. Now, if I was throwing something a little bit heavier, maybe one of the kickers or something of that nature, which is a little heavier, then I'll go to the 8. It kind of depends. We have the ability to switch and find out what lures me best. And I would maybe go down to a 7.6, maybe not as strong. You're not getting that full bend over cast, so it's more of a lob.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. You can go to throwing a spinning tackle too. Whatever's comfortable. I'm 100% spinning guy. I've been it for years. I think it's just as good. There's people talk bad about people going, oh, well, he's using spinning tackle or conventional tackle. Dude, you're spending a lot of money to go fishing. Enjoy it while you're out there. Dude. Enjoy. I don't care what people say. Their spinning tackle is just as good, if not better than the conventional tackle now. And enjoy your trip.
And if they're looking for a more versatile setup, that person wants something they can do everything with, you could get an 8-foot heavy Proteus rod, Saltus 35 or 40 or Alexa, and that's gonna be super versatile. You can fish bait, you can throw iron, you can do pretty much everything with that setup. So people always ask, what's one setup that I can buy for Southern California that'll work for everything?
Yeah.
And there really isn't one setup, but if I were to buy one setup that you take on a sport boat or a private boat, catch yellowtail tuna, you could even rockfish with it, would be that setup that we're talking about.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We got a lot of new anglers, the whole COVID deal. We're seeing the fishing industry is tremendous right now. I think every industry that's in the fishing boat, every manufacturer sees that. It's good. We have a lot of new anglers, a lot of new awareness and stuff out there. So, enjoy yourself, get out there, catch some fish, and just have a good time doing it.
Cool. We do have one accessory that we wanted to highlight for you guys. It's a new tackle management system that we're introducing this year. Very unique. There's really nothing on the market like it. Marc's going to model it for us here.
There it is. Right on.
It's called the Tackle Barn. So very unique item. Kind of like your dad's old toolbox, holds a ton of tackle. Open it up. Has kind of these bull wings on the side. Easy to access your tackle. This flap folds down halfway so your tackle's not going to fold out. But you can put tons of trays. You can put, I believe, 4 of the 370 size and 2 of the 360 size on each side.
Yep.
So we just got, I think we have like 7 trays in there right now.
Right.
But holds a ton of tackle. Actually comes with a nice little thing for your leader material here. So if you're spooling up fluorocarbon, you can have it handy here. You can put all your parts in here if you like to bring your rods and reels on the boat separately. It's got a sunglass holder on the other side.
It actually comes with an actual leader, kind of a leader compartment as well that's Velcroed on here. And it comes with a drink holder that's Velcroed on here. I don't have it with me right now, but the drink holder itself, you can put your soda in there or beer or whatever on the boat. Very cool mechanism. Good shoulder straps. It's got all nylon number 8 and number 4 zippers, so it's in the salt water. It's not going to rust. It's not going to be, you're not going to have to worry about trying to get these undone. Most of the sides are all rip stop like this, hook and loop side like that. Areas put stuff here, area put stuff there. If you're a freshwater guy, it's a perfect freshwater box, especially if you don't have a boat. If you're that kind of non-boater, you can put it underneath the console, easy to get to. Just grab it right there, open it up. It also does come with a waterproof cover for it as well. So if you are on a sport boat and you're going out at night and it's foggy or it's rough and you're taking them over the bow, put that over it and you don't have to worry about it getting wet and getting water into your trays. It kind of roots over the whole top of it. It's all part of that, kind of like you have when you have a jacket that kind of goes over the top. It's got a hood design. Clips for other stuff here. Just a really great box. Comes in at $199. and it's very comfortable, easy to carry, and it's perfect on the boats. It's not like a pull out where you're taking too much area this way trying to get your stuff out. It's all up and down.
Yeah, and I think one nice feature on both the tackle barn and our tackle backpack that you guys are familiar with, hopefully, is the sunglass holder. A lot of times you're going out either on a private boat or a sport boat, and you're obviously bringing sunglasses, but you're leaving early in the morning and you don't know where to put your sunglasses. You put them at the bottom of your tackle bag, they get scratched.
They get broken. I've done that a million times.
You can't find them. You end up not wearing your sunglasses or get frustrated, so you can put them in here. This is going to stay on the deck, obviously. When the sun comes up, you just grab your sunglasses here, use them end of the day, put them back in there, and you're good to go.
Yep, it comes in. It's all in this gray Primal One kind of decorative look to it. Looks cool. You don't have to worry about boxes falling over. The way they sit, they kind of all sit nicely in there. So, you know, like on the ones that kind of sit vertically in a square area, they tend to fall over, and you put it on top of this, and just a really cool design. Cool box. There's nothing like out there, and like I said, it looks like a barn. We call it tackle barn.
Cool.
Yep.
Alrighty. Any other questions coming in on any of the new products? Fishing in general. Hopefully, you guys have all got out at least once or twice this season and got on the water, whether it's freshwater, saltwater.
We got some new rods too coming out. A lot of Eastern Seaboard rods this year. New dark waters coming out. New TD Soul. So you may see some of those here. The dark water have a little bit of kind of commonality to West Coast and East Coast. They're a little bit more parabolic than where you like, but in all actuality, it's still, especially fishing braid, it works very well. They're very cool looking. We did those. New Tula CT, new design, redesigned that. So lots of stuff this year when it comes to that. Really big new product launch for the 2021 season for Daiwa.
Yeah, and like I said, we just covered a few of the items here that are kind of important to our Southern California market, but if you guys have any questions about the new products or want to check out all the new Daiwa products for 2020, check out the DaiwaProductShowcase.com website, or you can go on Daiwa USA and you can check out all the new products. There's a link there to the Daiwa Product Showcase website. We also have our YouTube channel. You can check out the videos on all the new products. We have our Instagram and our Facebook as well. So,
Nice job.
yeah.
Other thing I want to bring up real quick, and this is important, and I know the CCA is taking a really big stand on this, and they should. There's that AB 3030. I mean, it is wrapped up in a perfect package of scariness, which is going to really affect, maybe eliminate a lot of our fishing area. I'm sure Wayne and Chris and Mr. Shed and all those people with CCA, with, you know, on their website talk about it. I've been looking at their posts. This is a really scary deal. From what I know of it, and they've taught me about it, and I've paid attention, it's a possibility of taking 30% of your water areas and 30% of your land areas. So hunters are going to be affected on it, freshwater guys, saltwater guys, and it's wrapped up in a package. It sounds beautiful and wonderful for somebody that's not in the fishing industry, but it's going to be protected area. However, we don't know what the definition of protected area is, and that is really, really scary. So, you know, go onto the CCA site, support it, and support all the people with CCA to try and get that information out there and just learn a lot about it. There's a lot coming onto that scenario.
Definitely educate yourself on the laws that are coming, and take time to fill out the paperwork and submit your vote and email the people that are important about you know, how you feel and what you think should happen. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, all the manufacturers out here are, you know, doing what they can to help support CCA to fight this, but it is wrapped up in a very scary package for the industry. So be prepared for that and all the fight that we have to do with that. That's what CCA is for. They do a good job with that. Cool.
I think we're good. Anything else? Any other questions coming in?
No, I want to appreciate everybody listening to all the Daiwa stuff. Great to have you down here. Thanks for Dana Wharf Sportfishing in the Hansons to utilize the boat, get out of the house a little bit. So thanks again for everybody. Alex?
Yep. Thank you guys again for your time, and get out on the water soon, and see you out there.